Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Rao. I hope you are all doing good. And today I was following news reports on the PBS channel just a half an hour ago, I think. There was a report on how the congressional inquiry into Nordisk, the Dutch company that is producing the obesity drug, right? And the expense of that was very high. It's like a $1,600 something, whereas in Germany it's $600 cheaper. In other countries also, they put a whole list of countries where it is much cheaper than in United States. So they were asking the CEO of that company to explain how this is happening and why it has become so expensive when it is so important for diabetes and obesity, that being the endemic now, right? So they were saying middle managers of the pharmacy, they are the ones who are responsible, and insurance companies are kind of handle that, and that is very much adding the expense, right? But it seems all are involved in price gouging and making a lot of money on the poor patients who are already suffering with obesity. Now, I kind of get occupied with things, but I wrote a ebook recently. I have not published it yet. I need to edit it a little bit more. But I was going to introduce to you what my thinking was when I wrote that book. That is titled as Holistic Healing, Confronting the Obesity Epidemic with Ancient Wisdom and Modern Science. So I wanted a comprehensive resources available for people who are suffering from obesity to take care of themselves better and also to reduce their suffering, right? So there's a lot to say about obesity in ancient times and why it was not very epidemic like now. Once you understand that and bring those principles into our daily life, the lifestyles, it is good, Some of these medications are pretty nauseous and really vomiting and all that, So people are having a real problem of taking the medication also. They develop these unpleasant side effects, The obesity epidemic had been here for several years now, but last 10 years it has become much more evident, right? I was involved in the obesity treatments with clinics that were doing bypass surgery, lap surgery for the obesity people. And me being an internal medicine doctor, they used to send us patients for medical examinations and clearance before the surgery. So we used to measure their blood pressure, we used to measure blood sugar, things like that. And then also really encourage them to be on a diet to deal with the stress and to be exercising so that when they have the surgery, they won't go back and put the weight back on, right? That's what's happening. After the surgery, a lot of people are not really doing the lifestyle changes that they need to do. And they were not doing it mainly because they think, oh, surgery will take care of it. Now I can eat whatever I want. I don't have to exercise and all. That is a misconception. Also, they're not completely motivated either, So my job was to keep them motivated, keep them occupied with their lifestyle changes. Not that anybody required of me. The obesity surgery people, bariatric surgery group we had, and those people do their own counseling, their own advice and all that. But then we reinforce with a lot of my own understanding of the obesity and my understanding of the lifestyles from the ancients and all that, right? So many times patients took to what I told them about weight gaining, what I told them about how your own mind plays in this, how your habits, you get to reverse them, so all that ancient wisdom, well advised, right? So I wrote this book, which is like a um, several chapters. I can at least give you the layout of the book. It's a first chapter starts with understanding obesity, and then the second chapter is about human cost, and third is about ancient wisdom and more for modern wellness. And then fourth chapter is non-invasive measures as lifestyle changes. And fifth chapter is about implementing those changes, and then it concludes. This was written a couple of months ago because one of my cousins in India, he had a son who is only 12, but he is morbidly obese, and they're really worried about him. So I wrote this book to just to give him. But then I saw the need for this for so many people. So I'm going to go more aggressive on releasing this book, after I edit them and all that. Some of the wisdom of the ancient is addressing two or three different topics, right? Now, taste is a big deal in our acquiring obesity, because many people are slaves to their tasty preferential sweets or whatever. And one of the studies I remember in 80s and 90s, NIH did a big study on the obesity, and they were able to figure out a lot of things, but they were not able to figure out the taste factor, how people are really, addicted to the tasty things that they are used to, and it's a so powerful drive, they cannot really change that easily, But yoga and ancient Ayurveda had solutions for that. Okay, and then body image. That's another issue that is well encountered by the ancient wisdom, because body is considered as a tool. You being the real you within you, beyond the body and mind. So you will look at body as a tool, and that's not a cause for your self-esteem or feeling bad about it. So that's broad understanding. To tell you, it will take a long time to continue that, to come to that. Okay, and then we always talked about our diet being, more of a pleasure or social thing, or just as an activity for which you are born, that kind of thing. Those cultural developments also did not help people not to, gain weight, right? So there are so many factors like that I talked about in the book, mainly because people have body image, and then they feel bad because they are so obese. And of course, it has the, physiological, it has the psychological effects on him, but at the same time, they have this very poor self-esteem, and the stress and everything that goes through an obesity-minded person. Obesity person is really enormous, right? That's another thing too. Ancient wisdom really addresses stress from any cause, but particularly about this. And then if you are born with genes that you're going to have some adipose tissue, and you're going to accumulate fat either in the apple shape or pear shape or things like that, you may have a heavy body, but you could have a good chemistry inside, right? And being psychologically fit and psychologically well really helps with that non-secretion of the stress hormones, which will help you too. So that's another issue we addressed on that. So no body image, really being on top of your taste factor. And there's a pratyahara is a yogic practice which is withdrawing the senses. One of them is the taste, right? So that's a deeper subject, but not everybody can acquire that just like that. You got to understand the conditioning in the society, and then understanding this ancient knowledge, and then bringing it to your life. That takes a lot. That takes not just the patient, but also the relatives, the doctor's team, and all that, right? And of course, we talked about stress. Of course, in yoga, it's about mind. Once you understand how the mind works, and then you have an insight into how stress is generated in your mind, you can reverse engineering it or you can avoid it, that kind of thing. So a lot to be said about this, but I just am introducing you to the book. But I plan to conduct a series of rooms on this topic and see how you guys respond to that. And if you have any questions about that, please come up and ask me, and I can talk more about it. Or you can tell me your own solutions for the obesity that you are doing, or your diet, or your exercise, or your stress level, whatever that you are doing. We can compare with what I have to say about that. Okay. So anybody has any comments or question, you can come up and talk to me about this. But I plan to release this book properly, and also make sure that many people get the hand on that, so that they can at least know there's an approach that we could work, and then we could really benefit from it. My patients got this philosophy in detail as part of their care, right? And so they were kind of knew about this understandings, these wisdoms from the ancient times, and they were asking questions, because some of the times what we did was we gathered all these obese people at the end of the day, right after 5 o'clock, when all the patients are gone. We used to conduct a group meeting for one particular problem, like a one-time diabetes, one-time COPD, one-time heart disease, one-time obesity. Obesity was something really well attended, because a lot of people are obese. A lot of people don't pay attention when they are getting obese. They don't pay attention to the eating patterns, lack of exercise, sedentary living, creature comforts, all that. I brought in this Ayurvedic viewpoint of energies that we have, like a tamas energy is like a inertia, laziness, and stagnation, and all that. Rajas is what it makes you run, really spend your energy, hyper, and in between is the sattvic. So most of the time you could be ectomorphic and you could be rajasic, or you could be endomorphic and you could be tamasic, and they add up, right? But modern misconception of good life means just staying in the chair and watching the TV, right? And we are making the kids do that from a very early age. I have seen people into 40s having obesity way back in 80s, right? Then I have seen them go down to 30 years in 90s maybe, and 20 years, and now 10 years below, we are seeing the people who are obese. And that is really quite alarming. One of the reasons why the Novo company went after the anti-obesity drug was doctors are frustrated, and my pediatrician also frustrated, because their patients are dying because of the obesity, right? And to save them, the medication is kind of came up there. But then now they're accusing the companies are price gouging and really selling them a lot, So the CEO was telling that the middle managers of the pharmacy middle managers, they are really causing the increase in the price. But then the senator said the middle managers groups, two of them signed with them, that they will work to really reduce the cost of the drug, provided the company doesn't put the list price so high. So it comes back to the company again. So the drug is there, available. People can choose to use it, but it's very expensive, as I said. And also it has nasty side effects, right? And also it's not guaranteed that you lose weight very quickly if you continue your lifestyle. So either you're taking the medication or not, their lifestyles have to be understood. It's not just simply like don't eat much and exercise. It's a much more complex problem. You got to have sympathy and empathy for the patient, and you got to understand these factors much more comprehensively, and then suggest customized holistic solutions. Only then they will lose weight and keep the weight off and will not put it back on, right? Those kind of things. For example, you say yoga. Yoga has this concept of body has its own intelligence. So if you train it wrongly and you don't let it be intelligent by itself, then you're going to have these excess calories, end up as obesity, right? But if you understand what is awareness, what is it to be in touch with your body and know your body, then you won't indulge in overeating or excessive eating or inappropriate eating or constant snacking. So there is so much pressures with the food industry marketing of that, being like that, pushing things on people. People may not have realized that they're acquiring bad habits when they were growing up, right? So that is what is happening. Well, many kids go to the McDonald's and the other fast food restaurants like that and take all this processed food, which is really not good, and then they can't get rid of the bad habit when they become teenagers or when they become young adults, right? And then when they become middle-aged, they already established everything, right? It's a question of understanding the whole process, not just a piece of it or some part of the cycle. You got to understand the whole process, how we generate nutritional things and how we prepare food and how we consume food and how we dispose of the waste and all that. And what is the food has a negative effect on our psyche. How do we really suffer because of the excessive eating or eating bad foods and all that, right? So it's a comprehensive holistic solution that is needed. Okay, you got to treat human beings as human beings of not only psyche, mind, and body, and social being, right? And when you address all these factors, only then so you got to work with the patient on an individual basis, customized basis, and also see where they are in their part of education and awareness of the problem and what are the factors that are causing the problem, and then give personal attention to that. There is a team working now, but then if you take any branch of this, so many holistic team, they may not know completely about the ancient wisdom. Ayurveda, yoga, they may not know, okay? And then also they may not really know how to motivate the patient to eat right, okay? And how to make him work on his own functional body, functional fitness, right? So there's so many things like that I was addressing there, because of my own experience with obese people and why they were becoming. It all started with an argument I had with my brother when we were children, right? He is 4 years older than me, so we grew together, right? And I don't know how I used to say. I used to say, we are just here. The food is just for us to eat and survive and do greater things with our body and mind, But he had a philosophy of, no, we are here to enjoy food, to really live it up on the food and all that, That was his argument. But I thought that is such a small thing. Why do you have to live the whole life just for eating? Enjoy the food, be the foodie, not eating, overeating. But then, see, one of the simple principles yoga taught me was you got to eat when you are really, really hungry. They teach you get famished, okay, fast like for several hours before you eat. In yoga system, there's like a yogis take only one meal a day. So they are called eka bhukta. Eka means one, bhukta means meal, right? One meal only per day, right? Whereas the householder, dvibhukta, dvi means twice, right? He can have twice a meal, but not in between the snacks and all that. In modern times we are doing that, right? Whereas the person who is ill will be eating 3 times a day. So actually, they put it like if you eat one time, you'll be a yogi. If you do twice, you'll be a householder. If you use three, you will be a patient. That's how they put it there. Then it rhymes well in Sanskrit, actually. Yogi ek bhukta, grahast dvibhukta, and the one who eats three, he is going to be ill. That's what they said, right? So understanding that one particular sentence goes a long way to understand how could they survive with one meal and no snacks in between, and taking their thing is we're going to consume a lot of water, and we're going to do a lot of breathing exercises, pranayama. Thereby, whatever meal they have consumed one time, they metabolize much more efficiently, and the wastage will be minimal, right? And that is the culture of yoga breeds you to realize, right? So it requires a lot of understanding, a lot of inquiry into this, right? And then they were always moving, walking, right? In the walking also, you can do a lot more than just simply walk. Okay, I kind of teach people to walk with intention and to walk with the longer stride and climb the stairs maybe 2 steps at a time. So whatever activity you are doing from morning till evening, I can take it and find opportunities for you to do more exercise. At the same time, you're not going to the gym, you're not going anywhere, but in whatever you're doing physically, actively, that you could do a little bit more strenuous, thereby you can spend more energy, right? And also, if you can keep your mind on what you're doing, what you're walking, where you're walking, then you will not have much stress by allowing the mind to go all over. That's like a walking meditation. So simple things you can take, and then you can make them understand. It's not like you do it half an hour with me and then you go and do the rest of it your way. No, you got to learn small changes, but permanent changes. That's what I used to tell my patients. I'm going to work with you on the small change of diet, small change of exercise, small change of how you keep your mind and how you rest and sleep. But these small changes you make today, make them permanent. At least the intention is there, they stick with it much more. And then once they graduated from that small change, like this is the training. You give them goals that they can realize from their whatever level they are, and then extend the pole. So that means you're walking 1 block today, and a couple of days later, you can walk 2 blocks. So ease the system back into what it can do. There is a 2-elephant theory, which I always talk about. I think it was mentioned in Jonathan Haidt's happiness index, right? But this comes from ancient wisdom, right? They have this tradition of elephants in India, and they used to ride elephant, the kings and everybody. And then the driver of the elephant is called Mahot, and he has this sharp instrument with which he controls that big animal. He's not even tenth of that animal, right? But he could control that. How? How come he could control that? So the argument is this: we have 2 elephants that we raised with us. One is our body, another is our mind, right? And they have taken a lot of their own experience, training, and all that. So they're set in their ways. So if you want to make them to work, how did the Mahout come to make elephant listen to him and go in which way he wants her to go? Is by he was training this elephant from the childhood to obey him, right? Like that, what you need to do now is you got to understand how you have become obese with a lack of exercise, for example, or eating a lot of food. Then you get to reverse all those habits that what you hear and learn new habits. The simple thing is train them, so body train them, make them get up early for a few days with willpower, and then it can form into that, and then understand what is the um, uh, your body cycle, and to be really loyal to that, don't go and eat whatever you can lay on. Other small things people know, but how do you motivate them, how do you make them realize what is. So that's where the awareness and harmful effects of the obesity, and also on the heart and the liver and other places too, and how the yoga systems that work on the internal organs can help you better. Okay, so it requires a lot of teaching, training, understanding, and awareness, right? So I was willing to do that because I have my own clinic. I could spend as much time as I want with my patients, and because that helped us a lot, right? Understanding the patient and also meeting them beyond the clinic. In our own, they came to clinic after the hours, and then they stayed there for about hour or so. And we talked about things. We talked about a lot of recipes, a lot of activities, and all that. And I was an inspiration for them. I was never obese, right? And also, I maintained the same weight for decades and decades. They asked me, "How come?" So I have a friend coming up. Let's talk to them. Me too. Okay, somebody on the new vibe coming up. Let's talk to them. Hi.
Hi.
How are you, my Turi?
I have that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we did not have very good mechanism, or what was the word that you used before? Like the genetics that we are made of would be what is wrong with us already.
Yeah. No, there is a genetic background, definitely. Nowadays, epigenetics, for example, they can be changed with lifestyles, and that is being established. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for answering that. I was just wondering, so if this is how you made, is there hope for you?
I'm out of here. No, there's a. Have a good night. Hello.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Maitri. You want to ask something more?
Oh, no. Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a question of really understanding our culture, our habits, and also really see where we picked it up unknowingly or unaware, and then not blame, but see, my thing with the obesity people was be compassionate to them and see the weight they're carrying and the problems they're having. And I always told them it's not the appearance that is important, it's who you are as a person inside that's important. And also, if your inner chemistry is good, your organs can be protected, right? So we used to check the chemistry, we used to make sure that they are making progress, we used to show them all the lab results and all that, and also told them about the genetic factors, because if you are having the predisposition for the obesity, and then you have the environmental stimuli like excessive eating and lack of exercise, all that, it's going to be like that. But you can be heavy set or big bone people, that's what it's to call them, but you don't have to have the chemistry that is bad. Okay, that is where lot of proactive wellness thing come. I always talk about be proactive about your wellness. That means take advantage of blood testing, take advantage of genetic testing, take advantage of nutritional advances. All those things you can really take advantage of and determine your status as an obese person and as a healthy and wellness person. Where are you? And what are you willing to do? And how much motivated are you to work with that kind of thing, right? So it's a big project for both the team of doctors and patients. But nowadays we have assembled a lot of people, like a psychiatrist, like a dietitian, like a physical therapist, and all those people together are advising these obese people. My interest was I want people to be well. It could be obesity, it could be diabetes, it could be hypertension, any number of things. But I always brought in the ancient viewpoint because they are much more wellness oriented and non invasive and don't have to be another religion, another faith, or nothing like that. But with your lifestyles, how they have gone awry, and then you want to correct them. See, in Ayurveda, there was this term called Prakruti, that means nature, your nature, right? Natural nature, and they have these gunas, like I told you before, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Once you understand those gunas, you may not be able to control them, but then you don't have to provoke them, right? Suppose you eat a very heavy food, like Indian diet has this rice staple, right? A heap of rice, and then they eat with few curries. That is exactly formula to gain a lot of weight and also stagnate your body and make it okay. So all the diabetic people that have predilection for that don't have to result in diabetic complications. We are very advanced in knowing how to really keep people at a pre-diabetic state and then reverse that. Okay, but if you go beyond the pre-diabetic and then diabetic and then complications of that, then it becomes tough to reverse that. But if you can, suppose you know that your grandparents and parents have diabetes, nowadays you can have simple blood tests and then genetic makeup, and then we can tell you where you are in that pre-diabetic stage and what you can do and how you can reverse. Even I teach asanas that can be done by the diabetics to control their diabetes. Okay, but it's not like a guarantee. You got to do them daily. You got to understand other factors too. But our understanding, our knowledge is there to make pre-diabetics to reverse the diabetes. No, but there's a lot of homework I give to my patients that they have to do. Remember, I used to tell them small changes on a daily or a weekly basis, whatever you can do, but make them permanent changes. And that is the rub where people fail because they do it for a couple of days, and then that is where this training thing of the elephant comes. You allow the elephant to grow, then when it becomes so big, it is not going to listen to you unless you have trained it. So you got to go back to training your body, training your mind, and really be gentle with yourself at the same time. So I did that well with my patients because they listened to me. I was fortunate from it. And then they were able to do that. One thing we did though, we kind of told them we are accessible as a clinic, as me, all the time. So even at the time when we had faxes, when we had the email and all that, we encouraged them to send us the data via that so that we can build up their file up a rapid progress or lack of progress. And then when they came back, we have a graph to show them. Where was your blood sugar last time? Where is now? And I showed it on the graph, immediately that appealed to them. Like so, if you can show them what they are doing is really resulting in good results, they had much more motivation, right? So that kind of thing I did a lot. But now this book I'm going to release very soon is going to bring in what are the lifestyle changes that are recommended by the ancient wisdom. Like they want you to be up and walking, they want you to be working during the day and resting the night, and they want you to really understand the mind and how the stress is generated in the mind, and also be in the present, be mindfully doing things, and also, if need be, meditation, calming the mind. I talk to the people all the time about this, and the more they go into it, the better it is in this information age. Not just for the obesity, for information age. Okay, so that's a kind of good thing we were doing at the time. But now, from what I saw, obesity, this is 10 times worse. See, I kind of did obese patients last probably in 2014 or so. That is when I kind of stopped some of these activities because I had my illness and I came out of it. Then I saw regular patients, and then we kind of cut down the patient load. And then 2019, I sold my clinic, and I'm all wellness now on online. Now I'm able to reach a lot more people in several countries, and that's why these works I'm going to produce probably will reach more patients that I know around the world. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do. So any questions on obesity, please come up and ask me, or any questions related to the obesity from the ancient wisdom, and I will be happy to answer that for you. This is cost-wise, it is costing us enormous amount of money, enormous amount of money. And that way it becomes our responsibility as physicians and healthcare workers. It's our responsibility to take this serious and then help to reduce the problem, help to reduce the suffering. Okay, so I do things just because I wanted to help, but not many people may not be in that stage. But if we are, we can offer help without expecting anything in return, I think we should do it. But when I saw the report, the Novo Nordisk CEO has come, and this report was covered. Then I thought I will go and talk to my friends and then tell them that I have been working on this. I have these solutions, and then they can also look at it if they are their immediate people. There are a lot of people in our family suffering from obesity, and they let it go. They ride on it, and then when it is really a problem, they cannot do much about it, right? So we can go into cellular level changes, organ changes, genetic changes, and all that. There is so much happening in the field, medical field. We are getting the nutrigenomics, whereby according to genetics, you will have foods that you could eat and not, having problems with you, right? And there is ancient Ayurveda system of diet. At that time, they always said, our food is our medicine. I think we should bring that back as a concept. Don't eat it just for your pleasure or your taste. That is okay to some extent, but don't overindulge. That is a problem with a lot of people. They get a sweet tooth and they eat a lot of sweets, and they cannot get out of the habit because it is suffering for them, right? So they used to tell me, doctor, what are you doing? You are taking away everything that we like, and then you are kind of killing us. So they say that's more stressful than eating them, but you have to cut it down. You have to make it progressively reverse the whole thing. Okay. So anybody else has any other questions? But I plan to do this as a mission so that my message on obesity reaches many people. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I won't wait. And I will talk about this in other rooms too when I go and visit people. But this is not the only day I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it for a while. Okay. So if you have any questions you want to submit to me as a message, you feel free, and I'll be happy to answer that. Okay. And probably I'll do a webinar on the obesity and the solutions that I'm talking about, and how that could be going around. I'll release that book, and we'll probably make few videos also out of that, and then give it to people. Of course, as a physician, people always reach me for advice on their diseases, on their family history and all that, which is okay too. See, I'm now in wellness. I'm on online wellness optimization. So most of the time, other clinics can handle simple illnesses treatment, but I want to promote proactive wellness. Be proactive about your wellness. What does it mean? That means be aware of what's going on in your body before somebody tells you, and or the body tells you by sending the symptoms as the message, and you want to take a proactive attitude about getting a complete workup done, including the genomic workup, everything, and then go and build up your profile, disease profile, or propensity for those diseases, or worsening diseases currently, and then find out what with artificial intelligence you can find out a lot more about your illnesses now than before. Do that responsible research, responsible understanding of your own illnesses. That is proactive illness too. And then seek treatments if they're available from whatever system, medical system or ancient system, whatever you trust and you really have faith in it. And then do that, implement those systems, and thereby you have been proactively paying attention to your body and mind, and proactively you are diagnosing your problems, or you are helping to diagnose those problems. Yeah, I mean, you're taking to the medical establishment, they are supposed to diagnose you, that's fine. And then understanding the instructions and changing them. Remember what I said? Very small changes, but they should be permanent, right? Like, for example, if you say, I'm not going to go to the market in my car, if it's only 2 blocks away, try to walk to the market. If you can have the car follow you if somebody else driving, and you can walk, right? And then if you walk 2 blocks, that's fine. Otherwise, you cannot walk to one block. If you are massively obese, you may not be able to. Then stop it and get the car and go. Like that, in gradations, train yourself with your destination established, and then taking the pole to the other level. So it's the training is that. Don't strain, train. But then be determined about the small changes I understood. I'm going to make them permanent. That would be a very, very remarkable thing if they could do that. Many people failed. They were motivated initially. See, this is where you understand the elephants, what I talked about. The body becomes an elephant, it has its own strength, it has own intelligence. So it is not good to listen to your intellect. Understand that. Mind also, it's thoughts, concepts, and all that, it has its own run. So if you allow it to develop like that, even neuroplasticity is showing us we form neural pathways by unconsciously doing the same thing again and again and again. Even if you do conscious, the same result. So once you understand how you can form your own cortical brain, then you can also reverse that too, right? So understand other, and you can put to good use too. So okay, last chance before I close it, and the 2-3 minutes I'll be here. If somebody comes, I'll stay longer, and otherwise I will close it. But I plan to do this room every day, 6 o'clock my time in the evening, and I will continue that for a while. And then I'll release the book. I'll release the corresponding course for that they can come and understand obesity, understand what is available modern medicine and what is available ancient wisdom. And combining that, I think collectively we could try to really help this problem a little bit. We may not stop it completely, but at least we can limit the problem. But my thing is just to help these people who are suffering obesity. You know what it is to carry a big bags of rocks, and then your heart will suffer from that. The same thing is happening to these poor people. And they can move very well. They can participate a lot of things once they reach a certain age and a certain weight, and then they cannot really expand their lifespan. They cannot live well, and then they are ridiculed, they are laughed at, and they have poor self-image and confidence and all that. And so many things go wrong with them. And they can develop diabetes, they can develop hypercholesteremia and all that too. I had one patient at one time, he weighed 720 pounds. But he used to come to my clinic, and then my clinic was in the hospital at the time, and I could see the road from my windows. And he was walking, and then this construction people are doing something on the road, and they were laughing at him. He was not doing anything. He was just coming there, and just because he's so obese, they were laughing at him. Look at the cruelty. But those guys don't know what he does to the patient. So when he comes in, I kind of was sympathetic about it, and he got a lot of relief from that. Even somebody sympathizing means a lot for them at that time, right? I mean, this is all common sense, but we have to have that presence to be there for them, right? So he had a bypass surgery done, and then he had some problem with the suture line of the because he's so obese, right? And he began to throw blood at us, So we got the surgeon right away to arrest that. And but then after a few months later, he was not able to survive. He succumbed. He was in the Mayo for the surgery, and after surgery, he came back to us for the rehab. He did well for a while, but then he developed complications, and then he died. So it's a very difficult thing to handle, this obesity as a patient. Remember that as a patient is very, very difficult. So we sympathize with them. That's why when my sister's son, that guy, my sister's grandchild, right? He was very obese. He was already 15, 16, but he's weighing enormous. So the parents got really worried. So they approached me. Then I wrote this book for him and gave it to him. And I'm going to release that book now, and we'll see where it goes. So that is one area we should be working on. Okay. Okay. So Austin, how are you? Nice to see you here. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow then. Okay. Bye-bye.